Following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys! This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Savannah Humoller, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
Okay, here we go. It's a Thursday here inside the SWBC podcast studio at the Star in Frisco. And this is Mick Shots. And there are football players on a football field just beyond the windows that surround the SWBC podcast studio. And Mickey Spagnola's been out on that football field. He's taken a good look at who's in uniform and who's not. And Everson Walls and Savannah Humoller, they have football players in football pads today. That you know they mean business.
Hey,
oh, yes.
Listen, Spags is still going to blow it when it comes down to the final roster. I have no confidence in you after.
You've lost confidence.
Man, after that game, what was that? The Cardinals game?
Yeah, the Cardinals
I blamed
game,
you. Did you get my text after that?
After Mickey, how come you didn't tell us Tyron was hurt? How come you didn't tell us?
What happened?
Yeah.
You're supposed to be our guy, man.
I guess I should have walked down the aisle in the plane and see who was ice on.
Yes,
right.
please.
You're supposed to inform us of
You
these
didn't know
things.
about the Tyron Smith pothole incident?
It's with a grain of salt that you listen to Mickey Spagnola tell us who's out on the
Everything happens
field.
after we go off the air.
I want you to know that I wasn't on the fan yesterday because of Mike starting at 11, and they had booked a Sean Merriman for some reason at 11:20, so they said, we'll get you tomorrow. Well, when I came through the parking lot, the guy that does the mobile car washes in there, he goes, so were you late or were they late? And I go, what do you mean? He goes, I was waiting for you at 11 o'clock and you weren't there. And I said, they told me they didn't need me. He goes, what do you mean they didn't need me? I was driving around waiting for you. So just let that be a lesson to you.
The people are waiting with bated breath to hear what Mickey has to say about who's on the practice field.
I thought for sure they'd be indoors after the storms last night.
It was.
Especially when they showed me the rain at FC Dallas that interrupted that game. You couldn't almost
They never finished, did they?
No, I don't think so. They had to call it. And I'm going, well, there's no way they're practicing outdoors today. But
you got here and there was equipment on the field.
there was a little sunlight on it, and they went to. So, question for you. Were you working last night?
I was.
Did you sit in the office for 5 hours and do nothing?
As soon as 10:30 rolled around, and it was obvious at 10 o'clock when they put a tornado warning out.
You called it right. Mickey.
When they put a tornado warning, at 9:45 they issued a tornado warning for the Midlothian area or whatever.
Yeah.
Not that they don't matter, but
Yeah, that sounded very dismissive. That was very dismissive.
The tornado warning was until 10:30. I said, well, we ain't having sports tonight. I could have gone home then, but it was raining, and so I decided
nobody
to wait it
had
out.
sports. And I'm going, you know what? They had to spend, or at least one station spent money to send their crew to Tampa. And I said, well, they're not going to waste that. They're going to come back for sports.
And that station, the weather guy, Delkus,
he must have
I've got all the stations up in my office.
He must have talked for an hour straight.
Yeah, and he was saying, well, they say this is supposed to be a tornado, but I don't see a tornado in there at all.
He said it was very weak. Around Midlothian, too. That's right.
Right.
He said it was unimpressive.
Unimpressive.
Very
That's the word he used. He sounded disappointed, didn't he?
If it's unimpressive, why do
That's
I have
good
to
news.
watch this for an hour?
No sports.
Yeah, and so all the stations have to, even though it's very unimpressive what's happening out
all
there weather-wise,
stayed with it.
because everybody else is doing weather, we got to do weather too. Because
He just sounded disappointed.
Yeah.
That was what scared me.
Unimpressive.
Oh, God, it's not going to tear up anything. Why am I here?
I was thinking of Bill. I said, well, he's got all this great stuff and highlights of the Rangers winning their series.
How about them Rangers?
nobody saw it.
And nobody saw it.
Yeah. Poor Rangers. The one night they win a postseason series, and they're going to get all this coverage and
Weather.
they
Preempted.
They want you to cover the celebration. Yeah, cover this celebration. You got a dog in the last celebration.
A tornado that wasn't there preempted them.
All right. So.
But at least this celebration was for something.
Yeah. And I think
they get no
was
criticism for this champagne celebration.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, they still got to go to Baltimore.
Yeah, that's right.
They still could be home
okay.
5 days resting.
That's
right?
right.
They can still be
That's
resting.
Right. So the real test,
okay
the real test on that celebration last week is whether they win the next series. Or
There you
not,
go.
right?
Now they put pressure on themselves every stop.
Yeah.
And you could spray champagne. Doesn't mean you have to drink it.
Right.
Right?
Well, I got to admit,
for
I was
fun.
very impressed with them. I sat down and watched the whole game. Like, man, these guys, I don't know. Well, you think they have it?
You
They have it?
You like that
If
rookie?
you get pitching like
Oh,
that.
do
You
I?
like that rookie from Jason Witten's hometown, Elizabethton,
Mr.
Tennessee,
Carter,
Evan
Mr. Carter, yeah.
And he doesn't like champagne.
And the other rookie from Texas
Well, he's
Tech,
too
Josh
young, man. He's a boy.
Well, I
Yeah, he
guess
just
if they
turned
handed
21.
him something, they had to check his ID.
Yeah, he just turned 21. He's never had a sip.
Wow.
20-some
Yeah,
days
he's never had a sip. Yeah, but
No,
anything.
he said, I'll take a beer.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Real man.
All right.
All right, so
All these
injury
people
report.
waiting with bated breath.
Right, that's right. And here we are talking baseball.
Hey,
again.
why not? Shit.
And tornadoes that weren't. I saw everybody out there that was on the extensive injury report yesterday, most of them not injury rest. The only person that wasn't out there was Peyton Hendershot. He's got a ankle, and he was out yesterday, did not practice, and it didn't look like he was practicing today. But the encouraging thing, Everson, was that Tyron Smith yesterday was listed at non-injury rest, and he was out there in pads. So was Zach Martin, listed as non-injury rest yesterday with a thigh. He was in pads. So was Biadish, Tyler Smith, and Terrence Steele. So there is a chance
That's the
as of
entire line.
Thursday that
the
the
entire line.
first team offensive line will be on the
hope
field
so.
together for the
Great
first
news.
time all year.
We saw him on the cords yesterday.
Right.
Yeah, they look good. You said you can't have a bad knee.
And do those
Do
things on
the
the
shuffle
court.
that they were doing.
That's right.
Yes.
So Damone Clark was out there in pads. Rico Dottle out there in pads, and he told me, I'm fine. I've got a bruise. Guy with a helmet in the hip, and he goes, it's just sore.
What happened to the days of just tape it up?
You can't tape
can't
up a
just do that.
contusion.
Did they have injury reports back in your day? I don't remember this.
Are you serious? Come on, man. I'm not like Rayfield Wright or somebody, man. Come on. I came in the 80s. Things were kind of modern. We were good with computer paper, remember?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
we
right.
actually ushered in. Come on, Gil Brandt. Remember me? Gil? Yeah, come on.
Tom just told him.
I don't know that we had to have injury reports so back then because there wasn't any reason.
We were never injured
Yeah,
as far
that's
as we
right.
were concerned.
That's right.
Because I know if I was injured, then I'd probably lose my job. So I never went into
Just
the...
put some spit on
I
it. and
never.
rub it.
I just put on extra
Tape it
tape.
up. Tape it up.
That's right.
Thank you, Savannah. Tape it up. That was it.
So, Savannah, how are things doing on the text line over there? What is that number again? Let's see.
Text line.
I
That
have
would
it,
be
y'all.
817-290-3298.
Do you care about the San Francisco injuries?
Sure.
The only
I want to know
starter.
about Debo.
Debo was limited with ribs and knee.
He'll be fine.
So they listed him as limited.
He's not missing this.
Jawan Jennings, their, I guess, third or fourth wide receiver, was limited. The rest of the guys that did not practice, John Feliciano, backup center, guard.
Who, by the way,
did not.
their backup center, John Feliciano, started 15 games for the New York Giants last year and signed in free agency with San Francisco. You think the Giants could use him back there?
Yes,
Yeah,
especially
go ahead.
since Schmitz, whatever his name is injured.
Mm-hmm.
Linebacker Dre Greenlaw did not practice. He's their starting will linebacker. They rested McCaffrey. I'm sure he needed it. They backup running back Elijah Mitchell didn't practice. Cornerback Chudvarius Ward was out yesterday, and they rested Trent Williams. So maybe that'll help him get within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage when he gets in his stance.
Ooh, you've done some scouting?
I have.
Oh, well, that doesn't take much scouting for that guy.
The head
Jeez.
is supposed to cross the center's belt.
Everyone knows
Waist.
now. Everyone knows now that he does the wrong thing every
He's
play.
he's so far back, you got to take 3 steps to get to him.
Mm-hmm. And he takes off fast.
And he gets
he
away
takes off
with it.
early. Yeah, they sure do.
I asked somebody yesterday, I said, one of the defensive guys, I said, did you guys see when he kind of digs his toe in the ground like it should be a false start before the snap? They go, oh, yeah, well, we see it. They don't call it. Doesn't do any good to say anything.
Jordan rules.
Jordan rules.
He's that good? He's not that good.
Well, he's a 10-time Pro Bowler.
Well, he ain't Jordan.
Well, yeah, if you get a head start like that.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the Micah can do. Think Micah will work that side much?
I bet he does. I bet he does.
Got a 5th-round draft pick, Colton McKivitz, at right tackle. And, of course, that Matt McGlinchey was their starter for the last 4 or 5 years, former first-round pick. He signed with Denver in the offseason. So they're going they drafted McKivitz in 2020 in the 5th round, and he's your starting right tackle.
Which, by the way, we didn't have – I mean, we just kind of got the news that Randy Gregory got released yesterday. So when I looked into it, Sean Payton
Has
was
he
like –
officially gotten released? Or
well,
is it still
they
just
were waiting
reportedly?
for a trade. They were trying to
Right,
trade
they're
him,
trying to-
and they couldn't do anything. And so when they said, is he gone? Well, he's not here, but we'll see. So they were still trying to work a trade with him. But it made me think, because he ended up signing with the Broncos, who, by the way, getting rid of him is going to cost them $16 million against the salary cap.
That's a pretty penny.
Think about what he's done there. I think he ended up with maybe playing 10 games and limited this year. He had like 2 sacks. But because he decided to leave and they didn't spend that money, they were able to re-sign Dorrance Armstrong, who ended up with 8.5 sacks last year. They were able to sign Dante Fowler, who had 6 sacks last year, and probably played Micah Parsons more at defensive end as a pass rusher than they would have if Randy Gregory was there. And he had 13.5 sacks last year. So they more than compensated for his loss, and Denver didn't get bang for the buck by signing him to that big contract. Has he signed with New England yet?
I don't know that he's been released yet.
Maybe they haven't officially done it yet.
I
Maybe
mean,
they're
it was-
still
it was
trying
just
to.
sources say, and what often happens on that is it'll get floated that he's going to be released.
No, Sean Payton sounded like they were cleaning out the locker room.
Okay.
That they
But if they haven't
needed
released
to
him
move
yet,
on. Yeah,
then,
no one else can pick him up.
if there is a team
Can't pick him up, yeah.
that would be interested.
Yeah.
This just like what it's basically what the Chargers did with the Patriots. J.C. Jackson did not play the last couple of games. He had some legal issues back in Massachusetts. And so they were about to release him, but then the Patriots on Sunday lose their first-round draft pick cornerback, Christian Gonzalez, at AT&T Stadium to a season-ending injury. And so they worked out a deal, and the deal was an exchange of late-round draft picks in 2025. But what the deal really was is the Chargers are eating the contract, and the Patriots don't have to fight anybody else to get J.C.
him.
Jackson.
Yeah.
And so in a situation like that, whether it's this player or any other player, sometimes you will float it out there, and then if Sunday you have an injury, you could do what the Patriots did in that case.
These Cowboys must be pretty.
Cam Akers was the same deal with the Rams, and
Right.
then he went to the Vikings.
I was going to say the Cowboys must be pretty physical because the Patriots lost 2 guys for the season with injuries. Judon also
two best defensive players this year.
Randy Gregory was good here, right?
Yes.
Don't speak too fast.
Yes.
And so what happened? I just want to know. I mean, we speak of him as if he's, yesterday's news.
They tried. They thought they had him re-signed. He agreed.
Uh-huh.
And then Denver gave him the same contract, but basically in their contract it was like, well, if you get suspended, we're not going to take any of your signing bonus.
Right.
The Cowboys had that in their contract.
No. I recall that. That. No, I mean, what happened when he went to Denver? That's what I'm trying to say.
He only played 10 games, I think, last year. He got hurt.
Last year he played 6 games, 3 starts. He had 2 sacks, 12 tackles, 7 quarterback hits. This year, 4 games.
So it was 10 total.
Yep. This year, 4 games, 3 starts, 1 sack. His time with the Cowboys, okay, we're asking, he was good here.
Yeah.
He was good when he was
healthy.
on the field and healthy.
On the field.
And that had become the norm, him being on the field as opposed to not.
Right. Well, okay, 2021 with Dallas. 12 games, 11 starts, 6 sacks. And he had 17 quarterback pressures. 2020, 10 games, no starts, 3.5 sacks. 2018, 14 games, 1 start, 6 sacks. 2016, 2 games, 1 sack. 2015, 12 games, no sacks.
Well, if you
total in Dallas, he had 16.5 sacks from 2015 through 2021.
And if you go the other way, instead of going 2021 backwards, you go, 2016 forward. You see improvement.
Well, and so the last
his
commitment.
His best year, 2018.
See what I'm saying?
Well, his last 3 years.
But how many?
Well, 2019 is not included in that because he wasn't on the field in 2019.
Because he got suspended.
So 2018 through 21 is 4 years. You're looking at 15.5 sacks in 4 years. So,
and I think
but he was part of a very good Cowboys defense that has the reputation that it has right now. He was actually a part of that
when he was eligible
to play.
When he was available,
yes,
he was.
And
but the problem was he wasn't available.
That's why
enough.
the Cowboys stuck with him.
Well, Mike from Boston wants to know if we think the Cowboys have any interest in bringing him back for cheap.
And we are not.
And
we're not addressing that. We're
I'm
not
not
addressing
thinking
that because he is property of the Denver Broncos until told otherwise.
So we can't even think.
That's right.
Our brains,
you can think,
our
you
brains
just
are not
can't
allowed
say.
to compute.
You don't want to violate NFL rules, right?
So I'd like to, when we come back here, kind of compare the Cowboys and the Niners. Look at the rosters.
I think that's a good one.
And compare the two. It is very interesting, I think, when we come back here on Mick Shots.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker, Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Mick Shots.
K-Post Roofing and Waterproofing, the official roofer of the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, we are on Mick Shots here. We're taking your texts. 817-290-3298. Savannah's got that covered. And let's cover Cowboys versus Niners and how these two teams match up with each other. And I just want to go, not so much match up offense versus defense, but look at the roster and just see, where would you like to start on offense or start on defense?
Let's go offense.
Mm-hmm. You want to start at quarterback?
Yeah.
Okay. You got Brock Purdy. It is interesting how Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott compare to each other, their background.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Dak was at Mississippi State, and you can definitely make the case might be the best player in Mississippi State history. Led that team to its highest ranking ever. They were number one ranked in the country for 5 weeks his junior season.
And that was on his back.
That's right. And Brock Purdy, meanwhile, was at Iowa State, and he was a 4-year starter there, and they became a top 10 team on his watch as a quarterback of that team. And if you know the history of Iowa State football, that's probably one of the best 4-year stretches in that university's history. Okay, then they are both third-day draft picks. Dak, of course, in the 4th round, and Mr. Irrelevant was the last pick of the draft last year. And then their rookie season, an injury occurs to not just the starting quarterback, but the backup quarterback, giving both of them the opportunity to play their rookie season. And what did Dak do when he became the starting quarterback? It was a 13-3 record,
playoff
division
season.
Championship, won 11 of his first 12 games that year, including an 11-game win streak. And what has Brock Purdy done? He's working on 12 straight games in which he has started and finished that he has won. He's 12-0 in games that he has started and finished, which he did not finish. He only was in for like 4 plays of that NFC Championship.
So when was his first game last year during their 10-game winning streak?
I'll have to look it up for you, but it was in the midst of that.
They had already won those games with Garoppolo.
I think I'm including the playoff wins too in that.
He had 2
numbers on it. 2 playoff wins, and then 4, 6, and so it was 6 games he won in the regular season.
6 of those 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So very similar paths. You would think Dak has more experience than him, obviously, and has won more games. But yeah, kind of similar.
And Brock Purdy is doing with this Niners team kind of what Dak did in his rookie year, which is Dak only had 4 interceptions that year. I think it was 23 touchdown passes. They relied on running the football, and it put him in a great position to have success. And that's what Brock Purdy's doing with Christian McCaffrey behind him.
That's when Zeke could actually catch the ball back in the day when he was younger. I remember the screen pass against the Steelers, I think it was.
That's right.
What did it go, 89, 90 yards or something
like that.
Ridiculous.
23-4
on
rookie year.
Touchdowns versus interceptions. Yep.
Finished with a quarterback rating of 104.9, by the way. People forget this stuff about him. In 2021, he finished with a 104.2 quarterback rating, and all the rest were in the 90s except for 2017 when it was 86.6.
Probably one of the better games I've seen in Cowboys Stadium was the Packers versus Cowboys.
2016.
And of course, Aaron Rodgers spins out on the last drive and throws a first down to the tight end. Is he still in the league? I can't remember the tight end's name, but he was a very good tight end. And they end up kicking like a 50 plus-yard field goal. Jared Cook.
Who's a tight end.
Yeah, at that time, he was really just making his mark on the league. And that was one of his better plays that he's ever made. More meaningful plays that he's ever made. And I thought that was one of Dak's best games that he's ever played this moment.
People forget that he put up 31 points in that game and had to drive down the end to tie that game up.
We thought that would be the last score of the game.
Unfortunately, left like 50 seconds left for Aaron Rodgers.
Well, no, what was unfortunate, but we didn't realize after he's done it 3 or 4 times that season that Aaron Rodgers was actually pirouetting and spinning out of the rush and
on third and forever,
which he had done 3 times that year already with one of them a Hail Mary on a Monday night game. I believe it was against the Detroit Lions. And he was able to do that. So he was known for doing that entire season. And we were surprised when he did it against us in that playoff game on that last drive.
And it helped that the center was tackling one of the Cowboys' defensive linemen from behind on that play.
What do people think it was one of Troy Aikman's greatest games of his career? It was the NFC Championship game at San Francisco, and the Cowboys fell behind 21-0 to start the game and brought them back and almost pulled off the victory. That was like the Dak game you're talking about, because Green Bay got up on Dallas 21-3 midway through the second quarter of that game, and Dak brought them back, only to see Aaron Rodgers do that at the end.
So there's this perception out there that Dak can't put the team on his shoulder and bring them back. And
how old was he? How old was he that in that game?
Probably 23.
Yeah, very young. He did that at 23 years old. That was very impressive. And no one wants to say that their best game was a game that they lost in.
Right.
It happens, but no, you just don't want to take pride in that.
You know what? That 94 team will tell you how good that game was after they spotted San Francisco a 21-0 lead with 3 turnovers on their first 3 possessions.
Troy would rather pick another game.
Right.
I can tell you from experience.
But you know
He'd
what?
rather choose another game as his best game.
Nate in Frisco, and he'll tell you that was one of the most memorable games he played in because they fought back and they didn't give up. And they were within a non-interference call on Deion Sanders from basically tying that game up.
Yeah, that's the first time and only time I've ever seen Deion whipped.
Right.
I've never seen him look. Seen him look like that before. Michael Irvin was owning him that game.
If you think about it, they started off thinking they were going to take Elvin Harper away with Deion Sanders and double team Mike, and that didn't work. So they put Deion on Michael, double teamed Harper, and Deion got whipped.
It was the physicality of Michael Irvin.
Right.
I've never seen him impose his will like that on one individual like he did on Deion.
And he had him beat for that touchdown, and he grabs him and turned that whole game around because there was no flag.
Savannah, you like the way we're breaking down this roster of Cowboys versus Niners?
I think we got hung up on the quarterback.
Sorry. Were we on offense or defense?
My fault.
We shouldn't have started with the quarterback.
Sorry.
We got 2 minutes.
All right, are we going to do?
We got 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Are we going to do 10 minutes on every position?
Okay.
And go through history of
running back.
And go back through the playoff history of the Cowboys.
We did a hell of a job. We can't get that anywhere.
Well, okay, running back.
Running back.
Yeah, one of the best in the league right now, right?
Right.
That's right, Tony Pollard.
Best in the league. Okay. If you want to say that.
And in the 2 losses, Pollard didn't really get an opportunity. I think he had 6 touches in the 21 playoff loss, and then he got hurt. Was it first quarter? Second? It was second quarter, maybe.
Yes.
Second
quarter, right before an interception.
Right before the interception, right. Okay, wide receiver.
It starts with Debo on one side and CD on the other side.
Okay.
And they are
totally 2 different types of players to me.
Right.
They use the same, but their strengths are totally different.
So they got Debo, Ayuk, and
Ayuk is healthy. Ayuk is healthy.
Jawan Jennings or Ray McLeod.
Ayuk is also, he's coming off of a career high. He had 148 yards in Arizona, and he ranks 5th in explosive plays and leads the league in yards per route run.
What a matchup there.
They also
he has
have
0 drops this season as well.
a rookie that they used some, Ronnie Bell, 7th-round pick out of Michigan, who I liked. The Big Green Notebook liked him.
So fullback.
Approval.
Juszczyk, how do you say it?
Juszczyk.
To
Kyle Juszczyk out of Harvard.
Lipke.
You know, and Juszczyk is the standard bearer of fullbacks in this league, 7-time Pro Bowler. Out of Harvard, but Cowboys, I like this Hunter Lipke.
Can Lipke match his energy?
Red Zone, our only Red Zone.
There you go.
He went to the Harvard of the Midwest, North Dakota State.
Okay, we'll go with that.
And
well, Cowboys got somebody from North Dakota State, right? 2 guys, right?
I didn't say anything.
Hunter Lipke.
I didn't say anything.
We just talked
about I meant Trey Lance. 2 guys.
Yeah, no, we know.
Right.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah. You didn't mention that.
No, because he's not a fullback.
I mentioned that the fullback went to the Harvard of the
he
Midwest,
wants to go
North
off
Dakota
the deep
State.
end. He wants to go off the deep end.
Tight ends.
We're trying to stay. Thank you.
You like
tight ends.
Tight end. You got
George Kittle?
Big Ten tight ends.
All of our
Ferguson.
tight ends. We have 3 tight ends, and they're all just as good as Kittle together. I mean, if you put them all together.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Except
what I mean.
Hendershot might not be on the field.
And the backups for Kittle are Ross Dwelly, Charlie Warner, and Braden Willis out of the University of Oklahoma.
Talk about Kittle. I mean, he's the man. I mean, he's going to be a problem. He always is a problem.
Okay,
for us.
so
the last time these two teams met, what play do you remember?
Oh, come on. The pass interference call against, it was Donovan Wilson versus Kittle. And that was BS, by the way.
Right.
It was one of those Kansas City Chief pass interference calls every time we looked
down
it
in
up.
the red zone.
Yeah.
Then they also had the other scramble drill play where Kittle was running free down the field and flipped the field.
So, yeah.
Offensive line as a whole,
when we're healthy.
it's at least a push if it's healthy.
Well, it is interesting, though. You got a 10-time Pro Bowler at left tackle for the 49ers, Trent Williams, and 8-time Pro Bowler, if healthy, Tyron Smith for the Cowboys, 2 premier players at that position in this league for the last decade. And the
Aaron Banks is their left guard. Spencer Buford's their right guard.
Aaron Banks was a 2nd-round pick 2 years ago. Spencer Burford from UTSA, 4th-round pick last year. And the center, Jake Brindle, who I've talked about out of UCLA and Plano East High School. And then the right tackle, Colton McKivitz, was a 5th-rounder. And you look at the Cowboys, you got a first-rounder, if healthy, at left tackle, a first-rounder at left guard, a Pro Bowl center last year in Tyler Biadasz, a future Hall of Famer at right guard, and Terrence Steele, who just got his 2nd contract at right tackle.
So we've got 3 Pro Bowlers on our side.
And it would have been 4 if Steele didn't get hurt.
Now, having said that, what has happened for San Francisco is they have been healthy on their offensive line. And that is, if you go across the board in this league, teams that have healthy offensive lines, and they don't have to be future Pro Bowl players or anything like that, but if they are healthy, those teams have a big advantage over ones.
That's the one game we lost is when we did not have our
starters
guys.
unable to play against Arizona.
Right. So kind of, and it kind of came up in the press conference a little bit, but we talk about what the Cowboys have to worry about with San Francisco. But I guarantee you they're talking about what they got to worry about with the Cowboys.
No doubt. And when
100%.
we come back, how about these defensive fronts on these two teams?
Wow, we stayed on track. Good job.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Back to Mick Shots.
Dallas Cowboys Game Time, powered by Lenovo, the official gaming platform and community of the Dallas Cowboys. Sign up now to compete in Madden 24 for a chance to win 2 tickets and a VIP experience to a 2023 Dallas Cowboys home game. Qualifiers begin on October 6th and run through the 13th. Learn more and register at dallascowboys.com.
All right, we are breaking down these two teams. We looked at the offense. Now we're going to look at the defense, which I'm sure will lead us to talking about the Cowboys versus the 49ers in the 1971 playoff game somehow, some way.
How?
Mickey will tell the story about Larry Cole rolling around.
Better than 81. I'd rather talk about 71 than 81.
Mickey will tell the story about Larry Cole rolling around on the sideline, and Roger Staubach came back with 2 touchdown passes in the final 2 minutes of the game to win the game 30-28.
No, you're not,
right?
Spags. You're not going down there.
Cost your former defensive back coach his head coaching job.
Mike Nolan. His
Dick.
dad, Dick
Nolan. Yeah, not
Mike Nolan's dad,
Yes.
Dick Nolan.
Lost those 2 playoff games to the Cowboys, and they got rid of him.
All right.
Defense.
Up front on defense.
Scary stuff on both sides, y'all.
Yes.
Niners added a guy that we're familiar with from Philadelphia.
And we hate him because he's so good.
Javon Hargrave.
He's so good.
Hargrave had 11 sacks last year for the Eagles.
Ooh-wee.
In 17 games
and
played.
He's a grown man.
And this year, he had a sack against Arizona. He had a sack against the New York Giants, and he had a sack against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So he's on
track.
He's on track.
Got repeat. 3 of them.
3 of them in 4 games. So that's a pretty good pace especially for an interior defensive lineman. Lining up alongside him is a former first-round draft pick in Eric Armstead. And on the edges, you got Nick Bosa, who was the 2nd pick in the draft in 2019, who just got paid 5 years, $170 million.
And Micah Parsons said thank you very much.
Yes, he did.
And on the other side, Clelin Ferrell, who was a bust in Las Vegas, actually started last week for San Francisco, had 34 snaps, and also they've got their 2nd-round pick from last year, Drake Jackson, as an edge, and they got some others that they run through there in their rotation.
So,
and what do the Cowboys have?
They
match Hargrave with Osa,
right?
Okay,
match Bosa with Parsons.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is somebody matching
DeMarcus Lawrence?
I don't think Clelin Ferrell is.
Okay. And then Jonathan Hankins.
And you had Armstead.
Mm-hmm.
Hankins is really playing well this year.
And it's a rotation, obviously, for the Cowboys. So
I think we have more depth, don't we?
Well, Fowler and Armstrong and Sam Williams, if you look at those 3 coming in as pass rushers.
On San Francisco 49ers.com, they just said that I think we have more depth, don't we?
You know what?
It's debatable.
And Gallimore is playing well.
Gallimore is playing well. That's very true.
Yep.
we'll see what happens with Mozzie as we go forward.
But both teams have invested in their defensive fronts, and we'll include the linebackers in. If you're going to include the linebackers in there, which we will, you got
I was waiting.
Fred Warner, who's one of the best in the league.
I was waiting.
And you talk about another guy who's gotten paid 5 years, $95 million.
He deserves it too.
And Dre Greenlaw is their other starting linebacker.
Greenlaw scares me. That guy scares me. He's one of those guys that just a raw athlete. He has no off switch at all. He kind of reminds me of Sam Williams a little bit. Yes, they play different positions, but he is extremely physical, and it's hard to get him off the field.
He had 127 tackles last year, and Warner had 130. So
now he's all over. He scares me. I wouldn't even want to walk up on him off the field.
He got a 2-year, $16 million deal.
Okay, so this year, Greenlaw, 32 tackles, 1 for a loss, no sacks, 1 pass defense. Okay.
1240, so secondary.
Tick, 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 tick.
Well, let's go.
Secondary, Charvarius Ward and D. Lenore, your corners for San Francisco, and Isaiah Oliver in the slot. And your safeties, a guy they picked up in the 5th round who made the All-Pro team, Talanoa Hufanga. And Tayshaun Gibson, veteran player out of Dallas Kimball High School in Wyoming, who is now 33 years old.
Is he really?
As their starting strong safety.
Wow.
Yep.
I sort of remember when he first came into the league.
Mm-hmm.
So a guy like Talanoa?
Hufanga. Last name.
Yeah. That guy is, when you miss someone like that in the draft and he falls to the 5th round, then there was something that they didn't see that he always possessed.
Sort of like Donovan Wilson?
Well, they see that the physical wasn't as impressive for them to where they wanted to take him higher. But obviously he's got something up here.
That's right.
That made the
USC,
difference.
Yep.
And why he's making plays now with his physical ability. Mm-hmm. You put the mental with the physical on some players, it elevates them. But you can't see that when you're doing drills with the ball and
or
the college
the college game,
right.
which is
wasn't
played differently.
Wilson was a 6th round pick?
And Donovan Wilson was a 6th round pick.
Same thing.
Yeah. I mean, Malik Hooker was a 1st round pick, but Curse was 7th round? I mean, safety. The other thing is a lot of teams don't value safeties like they do corners, and so you'll find
easier
some
it's easy to
that,
see a cornerback. He's man to man. He's on that person. If he does well with that person or can make tackles, then it's easy to quantify. But if you have a guy like you said, the safety position, he can make decisions on in the pros. And elevate himself mentally faster than he could a guy.
And elevate his teammates, too.
Exactly.
So I think lined up right.
In this game, I think Marquise Bell is going to be very important to what this defense does. Because if they want to play that deal with just Van Der Esch on the field and he's the linebacker, somebody's got to be in charge of Debo.
Well, here's the thing with San Francisco.
What a matchup.
Well, Juszczyk is on the field so much.
Right.
I mean,
they might have to keep
they look at him as a second tight end.
Right.
And so that may keep your personnel different than in a nickel package.
But then it may be Wanye Thomas out there to take care of the tight end. But then the linebackers got to, who's dealing with McCaffrey? Because somebody's got to cover him as a wide receiver, not just a running back.
And it's not just the physical out here. He needs to know what he's doing.
Right.
And they're going to try and cross him up big time because he's young.
Right.
They could see how confused he
got.
Both
of the guys, Thomas
against
and
Arizona.
Bell.
Yeah, Thomas. Wow. You got 2 young guys out there, 2 big physical guys. They're going to try and take advantage of their aggressiveness. And now, once you get them off kilter, then you got problems for the rest of the game. But if they come in, they're making plays, and if Quinn can get them honed in on what they have to do and keep it simple for them, it's not just going to be a physical game. It's going to be a mental game as well.
Because if you think about it, in the opener, everybody was worried about the Giants tight end, Waller.
Yeah.
Right? And remember, they lined up Wanye Thomas basically on him.
Yes.
And disappeared.
But the Giants.
But the quarterback disappeared too, as he has in most games.
Yes.
Having to figure out the Giants' philosophy versus figuring out the Niners' philosophy is going to be a totally different thing.
Right. How about kickers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we get 1 minute left.
Special teams.
Both have rookies.
So how good is that kicker?
He was the first one drafted, I believe.
Third round pick.
He was a third round?
Third round, Jake Moody, 99th or 90, if I can read my writing, 99th pick in the draft out of Michigan, Jake Moody.
So he's 9 of 9 on field goals, 14 of 14 on extra points, and his long is 57, so he's got a leg, and he's got 41 points. So he's 6th in scoring to Brandon Aubrey, who has 48 points, tied for the lead among kickers with Elliott of Philadelphia.
Jake Elliott.
And all he's missed is one
his first
extra point.
His first.
Yeah.
9 of
sudden
10.
change.
Wow.
It was a sudden change extra point.
Let's just look. This game, razor thin.
So that we just found the difference in the two teams.
That was
there.
it.
The rookie kickers.
7-point difference.
That's right.
But I bet they're a little bit better in the red zone than the Cowboys are. Off the top of my head.
No doubt. Will that make the difference, though?
Well, in this game, you better not be leaving 4 points on the field when you're inside the 10-yard line.
So what he's getting at, don't rely too much on that rookie kicker.
I mean, you can rely on them, but you're going to get further behind because you're not scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, you got to stop somebody. You have to stop somebody.
Team offense inside the 20, San Francisco's ranked 7th. They've scored touchdowns on 12 of 18 possessions in the red zone. 12 of 18. The Cowboys are 7 of 19.
All right.
So
we did it.
Have we reached a conclusion?
No side.
Who wins the game?
I think.
Well, we're going to have to wait until tomorrow for you to find out who we are picking. It's a big mystery until tomorrow here on Mick Shots. We'll see you at high noon.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club. How about this?